So as someone who's been trading for over 10 years, I'm comparing the best trading apps for beginners and serious traders, like Interactive Brokers, Robinhood, Webull, and Public. And I'm gonna share which trading app offers the most features and opportunities for this new world of 24/7 trading. Right now, trading apps are sort of like whack-a-mole. You find one with functionality that's incredible. It's everything you could always dreamed of, but it has a terrible user experience. You find one with great indicators or beautiful charting tools, but it doesn't have enough leverage. It has crazy fees or just not enough things to trade. Now, just to be clear, none of this is financial advice. Trading involves risk and no app can ever remove that, but better tools absolutely matter. So let's start with the most serious traditional broker on the list, Interactive Brokers. IBKR is where a lot of professional traders and institutions end up. And honestly, IBKR deserves respect. It's one of the strongest platforms in the world. You can trade a million things. You can trade stocks, ETFs, options, futures, currencies, bonds, and global markets from one account. IBKR says it supports access to 170 markets, 40 countries, and 29 currencies. It also has global multi-currency accounts set up, which most consumer trading products just don't have. So if you want real international exposure, IBKR is just one of the best options. Their other big advantage is margin. IBKR is known to be extremely competitive with margin rates. Now, if you're an active trader, a swing trader, or just anyone that uses leverage, that can make a huge difference, especially compared to brokers where margin rates are much higher, like which I'll get to with Webull. Now, IBKR Pro, they're not really in that free trading type of game like Robinhood. The idea with IBKR is more about transparent commissions, better routing, better fills, more professional grade execution. And then you have IBKR's tools. It has Trader Workstation, IBKR Desktop, IBKR Mobile, scanners, option tools, portfolio analytics, charting, a bunch of different advanced order types. It's definitely a real trading platform. But if you're a retail trader and not a pro trader, it can be a lot for a new trader to take in. Trader Workstation alone has over 100 different order types and algorithmic strategies that, they're more suited for an institutional desk. I just want to say one thing I really respect about IBKR as a former developer is that they expose all of their trade execution APIs. So that means if you're a systematic trader and you want to build your own automated trading system, IBKR gives you the rails to do that. Robinhood, Webull, Public, Coinbase, they may have the tools, but they don't give you access to the same execution API infrastructure that allows you to customize your experience. So IBKR is extremely strong, but if you're a beginner, it can feel very overwhelming to say the least. There are multiple apps. There's IBKR Mobile, there's Global Trader, there's Trader Workstation, there's IBKR Desktop. And if you used them, each of them sort of feels like it was built for a slightly different customer. And as a mobile developer, don't get me started on IBKR Mobile, which feels a bit like a museum relic compared to the mobile apps you see today, like Robinhood. IBKR truly feels like a professional brokerage that was built for professional traders that just added consumer apps later. It doesn't really feel like a brokerage that was built as a consumer mobile native experience up front. And one of the most confusing parts about IBKR from a retail perspective is the market data setup. On a lot of retail apps, you just open the app and you assume that you're going to get real-time quotes. With IBKR, that's just not how it works and not how it feels. Depending on what you trade, you may need to subscribe to different market data packages. You have stocks, options, futures, international markets. Each of them can have its own data setup. So instead of just, opening the app and getting a clean quote, you end up wondering, do I actually have real-time data here? What package do I need? And for a normal trader, that's incredibly frustrating. Now, IBKR gives you the serious infrastructure, but it also gives you serious professional complexity that comes with it. It's one of the best brokers in the world for power users. But if you want something more simple, modern, mobile first, easy to onboard into, where you don't have to worry about whether or not you're actually getting real-time data, IBKR can feel like a lot. So bottom line, if you just want to buy a few ETFs and you want to check your phone once a week, you'll be overpaying for features you'll just never use. So next is Robinhood. If you're on X or Reddit, almost every trading screenshot is from Robinhood. And that makes sense because Robinhood has over 10 million monthly active users. And for a lot of traders who might have started out in the 2020 meme stock craze, Robinhood was the first trading app. You know what? Robinhood's biggest strength is just its simplicity. The app is really clean, the account setup is easy, and buying your first stock pretty much feels effortless. And I just want to give them credit where credit is due because they did push the industry forward when they made commission-free trading mainstream. And they also have 24/5 trading live for over 900 different stocks and ETFs. But as you probably already know from watching my other videos, 24/5 is not 24/7. And 24/7 trading is where the market is actually going. In upcoming videos, I'll talk more about why markets are shifting towards 24/7 trading. So like and subscribe if you want that breakdown. Now, Robinhood is becoming more serious than it used to be. They aren't just a startup trading platform anymore. They're becoming a fully focused, full stack trading system. So you have Robinhood Legend, which is their desktop platform. That platform now has over 90 indicators. It has AI built custom indicators through Cortex. It has futures. So it's no longer, just this super basic toy trading app that people remember from the 2020 GameStop days. They're also really pushing into AI agents in a pretty interesting way. Robinhood announced agentic trading, where you can basically just connect your own AI agents to Robinhood. The agents trade through a dedicated trading account. Obviously, this trading account is separate from a normal portfolio. Now, the agent only has access to the money you put into that account, but you do get push notifications when the agent trades and a real-time activity feed. You see its full P&L inside the app, and you can obviously disconnect the agent at any time if you're not happy with its performance. That's a genuinely interesting feature. Obviously, I still have concerns about AI agents, especially when they're dealing with real money, but from a pure innovation standpoint, Robinhood does deserve credit. Now for the issues. First, Robinhood has no level 2 quotes without a workaround. So if you do care about order flow, you're basically trading blind. Second, payment for order flow is a massive part of the Robinhood model. Robinhood routes orders to market makers like Citadel, and that raises the obvious question, are you getting the best possible execution? Or are you actually the product? The third thing is custody, especially custody and control of your funds. It's a big concern. We all remember GameStop and AMC, and whether you blame Robinhood, a clearinghouse, market makers, or just somebody else, the experience was pretty simple. People wanted to trade, and the app said no. That moment damaged trust, including my own. One of the later apps completely solves this, where there are no limitations around what you buy and how much money you can take out, so stay tuned. Robinhood also has margin rates that are just not competitive for serious traders sizing up. It has limited order types compared to, the more advanced platforms like an IBKR. So serious traders, they often want conditional orders, stop limits, bracket orders, and more overall control of their execution. You're also stuck mostly with stocks, ETFs, options, and crypto on Robinhood. Now, that's broad if you're a beginner, but it's limited if you want more global or multi-asset exposure. Now for my personal take on Robinhood. This is maybe a little bit controversial, but for me at least, Robinhood's starting to feel too much like a casino. There's sports bettings and prediction markets woven between normal trading, and the app feels like it's pushing me to engage more, trade more, bet more, and that's just not how I want a trading app to feel. You know what? A good trading app should help you trade better, and it should also help you trade more responsibly. It should help you slow down, understand risk, and make better decisions. So Robinhood is still great for beginners, and I do respect how aggressively they're pushing into AI and new products, but for serious traders, the trust, the custody, the routing, and the casino-like tactics are just a bit hard to ignore. Now let's talk about Webull. Webull is basically the app that tried to be Robinhood, but for people that actually want to trade. It launched in 2017, and it positions itself as a power user alternative with real charting and zero commissions. And Webull actually does a lot well. The mobile experience has a lot of good indicators. It has a pretty cool historical replay mode, and it has deeper order flow analysis than I've seen in most retail apps. So if you're big into order flow analysis, you can even get their subscription, which includes footprint charts, TPO, and delta volume profile. For options traders, Webull extends the zero commission model to options contracts with no per contract fees, which can matter a lot for high volume options traders. You also get level 2 quotes, OTC market level 1, NBBO pricing, and options real-time data, compared to Robinhood where level 2 requires a workaround. Webull also gives you more trader-focused data out of the box. Webull Premium offers 3.6% APY and uninvested cash, which is among the higher brokerage cash yields. And they also support extended hours trading, including pre-market and after-hour sessions. Paper trading is also a real strength on Webull. If you're testing strategies or just learning without risking real money, Webull is much better than most simple retail apps. So Webull is a pretty strong middle ground. It's more powerful than Robinhood, less intimidating than IBKR, but again, the cons are real. It still has no Forex or futures trading, which obviously limits its appeal for multi-market traders. The mobile app can feel pretty dense. There's a lot of charts charts, buttons, indicators, data points, menus. That's all useful if you know what you're doing and you're experienced using the Webull app, but it's not ideal for fast execution, and especially for a more novice trader. The news and research tools often also feel secondary. Webull is strong on charting, but it doesn't feel like institutional grade news or deep market analysis is really centric to the app. Webull, like Robinhood, also accepts payment for order flow. So again, like Robinhood, your orders get routed through market makers like Citadel, which raises the same execution quality concerns. It also uses Apex clearing, so technically a third party actually holds your assets. And Apex had its own issues during the 2021 meme stock era when those trading restrictions happened. So different name, unfortunately same practical concern. There's also the China ownership question with Webull. The House Select Committee of China sent a letter to Webull's CEO raising concerns about ties to the Chinese government, shared employees in technology, and American investor data security. This isn't just some random internet conspiracy. It's an active congressional concern. So overall, Webull is a great app for self-directed traders who live in charts, but it does still feel like a charting first app, not a full trading workflow. So before going through some of the other apps, I do want to talk about my favorite one, Rift. Now, full disclosure, I am one of Rift's co-founders, so take that for what it is. But the reason I built it is because every single problem I just described is what drove my team and I to build something different. There's fragmented workflow, custody risk, execution concerns, no real 24/7 access. You know what? These problems, they just kept popping up on other apps. I kept hitting the same walls. Rift is the mobile-first trading app that's actually built for 24/7 markets with institutional level insights and tools so you can just capture opportunity faster and more confidently. And the reason we built it is because every other platform specializes in one thing. There's one app for stocks, there's one app for crypto, one app for charts, one app for news, one app for signals. Then you have a separate app and subscription for journaling. And by the time you actually figure out what's going on, your opportunity for that trade is already gone. Rift brings the full trading workflow into one app. You can trade equities, commodities, crypto, Forex, and more as markets become available and liquid. You know what? Our goal is pretty simple. It's trade smarter, trade faster, and trade earlier in 24/7 markets. So Rift combines AI analysis, market signals, institutional level data, and on-chain execution so you can discover what's moving, understand why, and act faster 24/7. You get access to overnight and weekend opportunities, so you just never get sidelined again. Rift also gives access to early pre-IPO markets. People were trading Cerebras weeks before the IPO on Rift. That's just something that's never been available for retail traders before. And on the custody question I kept raising with other apps, Rift does not custody your money. There's no KYC, there's no deposit limits, there's no withdrawal limits from us. There's no weird restrictions like where you feel your money is stuck inside someone else's platform. It's your money, take it out, trade it, invest it, put it into some automated strategy. Do whatever you want with it without limitations because, like I said, it's your money. Getting started is also easy. You can download the app, create your account, fund it, and start trading within a few minutes. Now that matters because when the market's moving, your trading app should definitely not be the thing slowing you down. Rift also gives you hedge fund quality news, access to significant leverage, and AI analysis and automation day one. And if you already use Signals and TradingView to find the setup that you like, you can even import them or use any of our own back-tested ones native in the app. Now, if your trading group is constantly sharing signals, Rift also makes it super easy to bring those into your workflow and just share with anyone that wants those within seconds. The goal is to give everybody the tools to manage everything in one place, whether that's strategy discovery, news, analysis, execution, automation, and journaling. Now, Rift is not for everyone, and I just want to be straight and upfront about that. There's no desktop app or website right now. We're mobile first. There are fees on spot trades and fees on perpetual futures, though they are 5x less than what you would find on Coinbase, for example. And it is a newer platform, so we don't have every single asset, account type, or other things that you might expect from a legacy brokerage like an IBKR. Now, on the pre-IPO side, liquidity in those pretty new and novel markets can also be thin. So definitely always check what's available before sizing into a trade. But if you do want the best mobile-first experience with institutional level capabilities in one end-to-end platform, and you want to actually be able to trade 24/7 and be ready for 24/7 markets, we built Rift to be exactly that. Now, if you want a full demo of Rift's features, watch the video after this one, or try it out for yourself. The link to download is in the description below. Now for the next one, Public. Public is a social-powered trading app. Public actually started as a community-first app with a social feed for sharing trades, but it's definitely evolved into something much more sophisticated. Now it offers stocks, ETFs, options, bonds, crypto, and you could even create your own custom index. Now, one thing I generally respect about Public is that it's made the decision almost no retail broker has made, which does not accept payment for order flow, especially for those equity trades made directly through the app or website. In an industry where payment for order flow is the default, that's quite the stance to take. Public is also the only broker offering rebates on equity options trades, up to 18% per contract, and it lets customers choose how stocks and ETF orders are routed, while clearly disclosing when payment for order flow is and is not used. Now, that level of transparency is rare, so respect to them for sure. Public is also strong on fixed income. Treasuries, bonds are presented in a way that feels much more approachable than most legacy brokerages. If you want exposure to bonds without using some legacy, old school brokerage interface, Public actually makes that feel simple. And like Robinhood, Public is pushing pretty hard into AI. They call it agentic brokerage. You describe what you want, and Public's AI translates that into an agentic workflow that you review and approve. And then the agent monitors the market conditions and acts only when your criteria are met. Now, the examples are pretty interesting. The AI agent can sell covered calls monthly. It can hedge around CPI. It can buy Bitcoin when it drops below its 50-day EMA. It can sweep idle cash into a yield account, or it can even rotate out of bank stocks, if the Fed cuts rates. Public also launched generated assets, which are custom-made index ETFs built around an investment theme using an AI prompt. You can literally type something like US companies with strong free cash flow, and Public will build a basket for you. Now, I've tried this and it's actually a very cool experience. Public is clearly trying to make the move beyond a normal investing app into something more automated and personalized. But Public definitely does still have real limitations. It uses Apex clearing, same as Webull. To be fair, Public was one of the few apps that didn't restrict GME trading during the squeeze. They allowed buys, but they did add a safety label. But still, Apex is the underlying custodian, and that should give anybody some pause. Public's stock execution and quality is also only around 94%, which is several points below the 97.5% average. So the no payment for order flow stance is principled, but there definitely is an execution quality hit. Public also lacks certain account types. There's no custodial accounts, trusts, IRAs, or business accounts. And advanced investors will miss a serious desktop trading platform. Plus, there is no futures or Forex trading either. So my overall take is that Public feels like a very clean app with a lot of pretty innovative features, like their agentic brokerage and custom indexes, but it still feels more built for investors versus active traders. Now to Coinbase. Coinbase is to crypto what Robinhood is to stocks. It's basically the first crypto app most people download if they live in the US. Just like Robinhood, it has a pretty beginner-friendly interface, it has nice charting, and by far the most crypto assets to trade versus the other platforms. They also have a pretty compelling subscription where higher tiers offer zero trading fees and boosted staking rewards. So for frequent traders, it can actually be worth doing the math. Coinbase is also the most regulated and compliant major crypto exchange operating in the US. So for people who want to just sleep better at night, that trust premium does matter. So I do give them kudos for always doing things in a very legally compliant way, especially, when a lot of other crypto exchanges have gone a bit of a different route. But there are definitely some cons, and I can speak to many of them as a user myself. Their fees for simple transactions like buying Bitcoin are insane compared to other exchanges. Those fees are often between 1.5% and nearly 4%. Now, experienced traders, they eventually figure this out and they migrate to another platform, or they pay for that subscription, which removes those fees. In May 2025, Coinbase also disclosed that a hacker bribed overseas support contractors to steal customer data, including names, addresses, and account information. They refused to pay the ransom, but the breach did happen, and that matters, especially as a platform holding your financial identity and funds. Coinbase also has no copy trading, which is pretty common in a lot of other crypto exchanges. It has no standalone desktop app, and at least for me, custody is the biggest issue. Coinbase is notorious for freezing customer withdrawals and accounts and just making it an overall nightmare for you to move your funds. A lot of people also don't realize this, but if Coinbase went bankrupt, crypto held on the platform could potentially be treated as a creditor asset, which means that you could be in the same line with everyone else. So there could be this same FTX type of nightmare scenario all over again. That's why people say, not your keys, not your coins. So all in all, Coinbase is known for restricting customer accounts with no notice, data exposure has been an issue, and fees can definitely surprise beginners who just don't know better. And as a trading product, Coinbase has no real signals, no AI analysis, and no institutional quality newsfeed. So Coinbase is great for onboarding people into crypto. But once you become an active trader, it's very easy to outgrow. So that is the full breakdown. You have IBKR for serious power users who need global access professional infra. You have Robinhood if you're just getting started and you want something clean. You have Webull if you live in the charts and just want more data out of the box. You have Public if transparency and AI-driven investing are your priority. And you have Coinbase if crypto is your primary focus and you just value regulatory compliance. Every single one of them does something well. Every single one of them also has a wall you will eventually hit. For me, the wall I kept hitting was the same one: fragmented tools, custody risk, and being locked out of markets that don't care what time zone you're in. So that's why I built Rift. And obviously, I think it's the strongest option for where markets are going. But at the end of the day, the best trading app is the one that fits how you actually trade. Now, if you want to try Rift, the link is in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.